Hey everybody, Gisele Grenier here. So in today's lesson, we're going to be doing another contour drawing, but this one's going to be a little bit different. Now, if you've already checked out the silly drawing a day for 30 days, 60 seconds max challenge in the community, this one may sound a little bit familiar to you. Those were only sketches. What we're doing in this series is that we're combining sketches with mixed media. And the goal is to keep everything compact, with the assumption that you don't have a lot of time and you may be even traveling. And the theme for this adventure I'm going on is, I think I'm looking at something like the travel safari. I'm not titling this series or doing the cover until I'm finished. That way I can get the theme. So you ready for this one? Okay. So the dictionary paper that I cut out was foot. So I cut out my dictionary, ripped out my dictionary paper, and then I outlined the word foot. And so that's going to be the, the theme for this one. Let me go. I did do a little bit of planning to make sure I had enough of the colors. I didn't want to waste your time with all that stuff. But the link is below in the description to refer back to the very first video, which describes the whole process. All right, so I've got my tiny little journal here. I'm going to prep the paper with Decor Media White Gesso. I'm going to collage with the matte medium. I'm going to varnish at the very end with ultra matte varnish. The actual paints I'm going to be using to paint the background is translucent white, Hansa yellow light, phthalo blue, phthalo green blue, and quinacridone burnt orange. I would typically use transparent red iron oxide and the fluid acrylics. I ran out. And so I'm going to use this one here. I've got my dictionary paper. I also have a little stencil. So as with the last lesson, we did collage. This one I'm going to use a stencil. And this is where I did the planning, because I kind of know where this might be going. So when I'm finished doing the sketch, I'm going to do this live with you. It may change. I may end up having to grab another stencil, and it's of coral. And it's the decor. This is the Americana Decor. Americana Decor? Yeah, Americana Decor line. Okay, and I've got the paints already on the palette, and I've got a Staedtler Mars Lumograph Black 6B pencil. This is a combination between graphite and carbon. There's no shine. And then my Staedtler Lumicolor Permanent Special F. Any fine pigment liner will work, but this specific one, this special, it's permanent even on glass. And I've got a little flat synthetic brush for the medium, and I've got my special brush, which I've marked, which I use only for varnishing. The varnishing is optional, but because I do a lot of hiking with the waterfalls and I bring my journal with me, I am always varnishing to protect my artwork. Okay, where are we? Okay, 3.5 minutes into it. Okay, let's go. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is let's prep the background and everything so that way we don't have to wait for any drawing time. So I'm going to move all this out of the way. Going to move this up. I also had to redo the filming area because I think in the last video I was way out of camera view. So just going to put a little bit of gesso, and this is only first of all to prepare the paper. I don't know what you're using, so I always like to say always prep your pages with gesso as a best practice, just in case. And what this is to stop any of the paint from bleeding through to the other side. And so for this one here, I already have something here. I don't want the paint to bleed through. Now, I know with the paper that I'm using here, the gesso on the one side is fine, but it doesn't hurt. You don't even have to cover everything. So let's just do that because it gives a different effect. And we'll cover that. So put that there. I'm going to wait for that to dry, but what we can do is get right into this little piece here. All right, what I want to do is I'm going to lightly stain this. I don't really like using anything like pure white. I'm going to take some translucent white, and this is way more paint than I need. And a little bit of Hansa yellow light. So with the colors, I've taken a yellow that leans towards green, I've taken a blue that leans towards green, and a green that leans towards blue. So everything is when the blue greens, they're naturally going to go together. The quinacridone burnt orange is opposite the color wheels of the blues and greens, and that's only to edge the paper. You don't even have to do this step. Okay, so I'm just going to put that in there just to give that a stain, and make sure that it's transparent and not opaque. You can even take a baby wipe and just pad. Look how beautiful that looks, like a stain. For what I'm doing, watercolors won't work because I'm going to be actually varnishing over, and varnish with watercolors doesn't blend. All right, put that aside to dry. And I would typically say don't use a heat gun unless you have to. That's almost ready. All right, so let me talk the process. We're gonna do it right on here. What we're gonna do is you're gonna need a pencil. And you could practice this first if you want. I'm actually going to do it live with you, but you're really not going to see my feet. The idea is that where you're sitting, you're going to have what you're going to be drawing on, and you're going to have your pencil. The pigment liner is better. That way it's permanent. And yeah, that's going to be better. So I'm going to do that. Now I'm going to go with pencil. Now my inner critic's going, you stupid, stupid woman. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tilt myself and contort my body. Let's see, I'm going to put my foot on my stand here. So what you want to do is you want to see your foot. I have ugly feet, so you're not going to see my feet. So you want to see your foot. And you know those Instagram pictures that you see of these women, and you see a picture of their legs with their feet? Why, I don't know, but something like that. Okay? So you're going to look at your foot. What you're going to do is position your paper where you're going to be. And now my foot's going this way, so I'm going to turn my paper this way, so your foot's facing this way. And all you're going to do is draw the contour of your foot. You're not looking at your paper, you're looking at your foot. So it's a blind contour drawing. Okay? So ideally is paper over here. Blind contour drawings, the best way is your drawing surface is opposite to what you're looking at. When I'm doing it this way, I get a bit of a kink in my neck, so I can just turn my head to where I'm comfortable, and I can do it there. Okay? But I want this, you see this on camera. All right. So I'm going to be using my liner, and I'm going to hold my paper down, and this is going to be small. This is going to be small, and I'm going to look at my foot. Oh man, am I ever an idiot? And let's go. Okay, so I'm looking at the contour of my foot. And I'm just watching the outline. And I'm not going to talk. I think my paper moved. My feet are swollen today. What is it? Oh my God, seriously? Do I have 5 toes? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yeah. Okay. Inner critic, go away, go away. So now what you're going to do is you're going to you're going to take this and you turn it around and you look at it until you see a form of some type of animal. So if I did it this way, I could add an ear and a triangle eyes to make it look like a dinosaur. This could be the teeth. This could be the wing for a bird. So I could just add a head or something. That could be the wing of a bird. A cat paw. That could be a cat paw. So I could draw some fur, that type of thing. But I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to draw a mouth. I'm going to join these like this. Ooh, it's a creepy whale. Jeepers creepers. It's a creepy looking whale. Let's add a little smile there. Yeah, it's a creepy looking whale. Okay. I think the cat paw would have been better. Ugh, that's creepy. All right, so that's ready. So let's... Joe doesn't know I'm doing these. He would so say, what the hell are you doing? You're supposed to be a professional. You know what? This is just fun. This is just fun. I don't think I'd show this to any clients that wanted a commission, but oh, luckily I'm not doing commissions anymore. So let's paint the back. I want to create a water scene. So let's take a little bit of phthalo blue and phthalo green blue, and we're going to create quite the stain. Now, I have a baby wipe handy. I want to show you something. If we add white to this, it's going to become opaque, and I want it to stay transparent. So I'm just going to take this and lift that up. Now you may want to have some wax paper underneath so the paint doesn't transfer to the other side. Because I varnished it, I'll be able to wipe it down. Oh, and speaking of varnish, okay, so the ideal thing is the Deco Art Americana Dura Clear Varnish, indoor outdoor, which is the best. And the Ultramat, I don't have any, but that's what I would use, because then I can actually wipe it down. A lot of the varnishes are for indoor use. You got to be careful when you do wipe it with a damp cloth that you don't lift off the varnish. Okay. Okay. Right there. And I'm just going to pad through the stencil. So a lot of this stuff is going to be covered. I'm going to sneeze. A lot of this is going to be covered with the dictionary paper, but we don't know how we're going to position that yet. And if you didn't gesso the paper, this would be a little bit harder to do. Like that. Oh, it lifted the paper. Do I care? Not really. The gesso wasn't dry. Do I care about that? Yeah, I should have been more careful. So let's just go over. The gesso wasn't dry. Okay, so let your gesso dry. Use a heat gun if necessary. Okay. And now what I'm going to do is with this here, you kind of position it the way that you want. I can put that right like that. And think now, is that enough? That's really not enough of the white for me. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to grab another little brush. Let me just dry this. Not quite white enough, but that's okay, because I can take the leftover paint, because I don't want to throw it away. And now I'm just going to stipple. Stippling is just putting a small amount of paint to get like a little splatter. What's nice is if you had a completely flat, you can take the brush and you could do this to make that splatter. But I don't want to get paint on my other journal. And the idea with this is that we want to keep these little projects under 15 minutes. So there's my little whale. Let's get some matte medium. And yes, you would wait for everything to dry. Matte medium on both sides, on the actual paper and on the dictionary paper. That way it'll be repositionable. You can also, Deco Art has a decoupage medium for tissue paper if you want to use tissue paper instead. And with this now, you basically can rotate it any way you want. You can put it, oops, you can put it here, you can put it here. This way actually might be kind of nice. Let's just leave it there. You want to try to flatten it out. Oh, look at dirty brush. Put that over. There we go. That's it. And from here you can do a little bit of accenting and embellishing if you want. Once this is dry, like for my, if I wanted to embellish this, what I may do is I may put little drawings of little fish. Let me dry this and I'll show you what I mean. So I'm going to take my pigment liner, and you can use paint if you want. I can turn around and just do little just little fishies like this. And really it's just like a little line, circle, and line. And I can put little eyes in them. Remember, it's just to be fun. And you can put an additional note. So I'm going to put here blind contour drawing of foot into a creepy whale. And I get a little bit of art journaling in there. All right. What else can you do? You can take a white gel pen and I can sketch, detail the outline of whatever it is I stenciled. You don't have to, and you notice I'm not being overly careful of this. I'm just going around being quite sketchy. If you're going for perfection, you're doing it wrong. I could even put little white dots. Oh, they don't show up. That's okay. You can take sparkles and glue sparkles on them, whatever, doesn't matter. So the whole goal is to draw a blind contour sketch of your foot, turn it around, turn it into an animal, and then the theme of that page is based on that animal. So there we go. Oh, that's creepy. Put a sock on if you want the toes. Alrighty, so give this a shot. I would really like to see, what you come up with. So in the description below, you'll find a link to the community where people are posting pictures of their projects as well. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. That you won't miss out on any of these challenge videos. And give me a thumbs up for the video and let me know below when you've done your piece. Did your inner critic at any point come into play to basically challenge you to say that this was all wrong, that it was silly and it was a time waster? Let me know what your inner critic was saying during the process of creating your piece. Alrighty, so that's it. Looking forward to seeing your piece. So until I see you in the next challenge, stay inspired. I can be a tool sometimes. I completely omitted 2 steps. Finishing the edges. Varnishing, which again are completely optional. You don't have to do this. So I'm just using a baby wipe and I'm just going over the edge. Like so. Okay, let that dry, and then I've got a special brush for varnishing and I would just apply a layer of that. The varnishing, I like using the ultra matte varnish because the pages don't stick together. And I'm going to dry this first. Again, you don't have to varnish. It just helps protect things, especially in this type of weather. Wherever you are in the world, you may have run into some issues with your artwork curling and humidity, damage for the humidity. Printing on a printer is hard at this time of day because the paper is damp. So there we go. Now I'm really finished. So going back with all the other stuff that I said, again, hope to see you in the next challenge. Stay inspired.